The tent was red, bright red against endless white. March 15, 2016, that was the last confirmed sighting. A solo hiker entering the Pallas Yllästunturi National Park, Finnish Lapland, 800 square miles of frozen wilderness. The temperature -28°C. Inside the abandoned tent, rescuers would later find something that made no sense. His boots, still arranged neatly by the entrance. His jacket, folded. The stove, cold but functional. Food supplies untouched. Everything suggested he'd stepped out for just a moment. He never came back. The wind in Lapland doesn't just blow. It erases every track, every trace, every answer. In minutes, a human becomes a ghost. In hours, the landscape forgets you existed. One question haunted investigators. Why would someone leave their shelter in sub-zero conditions wearing inadequate clothing? But what happened remained hidden beneath Lapland's endless white until a thermal imaging drone saw through 8 years of accumulated snow and revealed the impossible. Mikko Virtanen, 34 years old, wilderness guide from Rovaniemi, not a tourist, not inexperienced. Mikko had spent 12 winters leading expeditions through Arctic Finland. He knew the signs, the weather patterns, the treacherous spots where ice concealed open water, the places where wind could kill in minutes. Men like him don't just disappear. He'd gone to Pallas Yllästunturi for research, documenting winter wildlife patterns for a conservation project. Solo trip, 5 days planned. He carried satellite phone, GPS tracker, emergency beacon. Standard protocol for experienced guides. Everything by the book. His last communication, a message to his sister. Found wolf tracks near Samultunturi Fell. Beautiful, will. Photographed tomorrow morning. Sent at 1947, March 14, 2016, the Finnish have a word. Sisu, resilience, determination, against impossible odds. Mikko embodied it, which made his disappearance incomprehensible. Men with 12 years of Arctic survival experience don't vanish without explanation. They survive, they endure, they make it home. The tent itself was a detail that seemed ordinary. A professional 4-season model, anchored properly, positioned in a wind-protected hollow. Everything correct, everything methodical, except the boots. In Arctic conditions, you don't leave your boots behind ever. Frostbite destroys tissue in minutes. Hypothermia kills in less than an hour. Every wilderness guide knows. Adequate footwear isn't optional, it's survival. Yet there they were. Boots inside, Mikko outside somewhere. His camera held the last images he'd taken. Wolf tracks in pristine snow. Time-stamped 07:23, March 15th. He'd been alive that morning, active photographing. Wildlife exactly as planned, then nothing. But there was something about that tent's location that nobody noticed at first. The detail that would explain how an experienced Arctic guide could disappear without a trace in terrain he knew intimately. March 15th, Mikko misses. Scheduled check-in call. His sister waits 1 hour. Protocol calls again, nothing. She knows Mikko. He never misses check-ins, never. Communication is sacred in Arctic wilderness. At 17:30, she contacts Finnish border guard, 1845. Emergency response activates. Pallas Yllästunturi in March is hostile. Daylight 6 hours. Temperature plummeting to -35 at night. Wind 60 km/h. Search window critically narrow. Every minute counts when someone's exposed in these conditions. The Finnish system moves fast. 22 million first helicopter airborne. Thermal cameras scanning, but Arctic ground absorbs heat signatures. The cold itself becomes camouflage. Nothing but white static on their screens. March 16th, 05:30. Ground teams deploy. 30 volunteers, border guard specialists, local Sami reindeer herders who know every valley, every frozen stream, every hidden danger. These are people who've survived Lapland their entire lives. They reach the GPS tracker location by 08 Willow, the tent, still standing intact. The scene inside stops them cold. Sleeping bag used but not disturbed. Personal items organized meticulously. Camera with photos from that morning. Wolf tracks exactly as he'd described. Timestamp 07:23. He'd been there. Recently. Hours ago, not days. But no Mikko. The theory forms immediately. Sudden emergency. Maybe he heard something outside. An animal near the tent. Went to investigate. got disoriented in the pre-dawn darkness. Finnish Lapland has no mercy for disorientation. The landscape looks identical in every direction. White, flat, featureless, deadly. Search radius expands. 5 kilometers, then 10, then 20. Helicopters grid the area methodically. Every pass recorded. Every sector marked. Dogs track scent trails, but wind and fresh snow destroy everything within hours. The wilderness swallows evidence faster than humans can find it. At hours of active searching, 140 square kilometers covered, every hollow checked, every frozen lake examined, every tree line investigated. They bring more dogs, more helicopters, more volunteers. Nobody stops. Nobody gives up. Nothing. The frustration is visceral. How does someone vanish completely in an age of GPS, thermal imaging, and coordinated aerial search? In terrain that appears so open, so visible from above? The search team passed within 200 meters of the actual location, 7 times, without knowing that the answer was there the entire time, hidden by Lapland's most deceptive terrain feature. Week 2. The investigation shifts from rescue to recovery, then to understanding. Theory 1. Disorientation and hypothermia. The prevailing explanation. Mikko left the tent inadequately dressed, maybe answering nature's call, maybe investigating a sound. Lost bearings in the pre-dawn darkness. Arctic night is absolute. Without a headlamp, visibility drops to 0. He wanders. Confusion sets in, succumbs to cold. The landscape conceals him, evidence supporting boots inside tent. No signs of struggle, no indication of external threat. Hypothermia victims often exhibit paradoxical undressing, removing clothes as confusion sets in. The psychology of freezing to death is well documented. It fits the pattern. Theory 2. Ice breakthrough. The secondary possibility. The area contains hidden streams, covered by snow invisible until you break through. Water at 0 degrees Celsius kills faster than air at -35. If Mikko stepped on concealed ice, he'd fall through. Current drags him under. By spring thaw, the body travels kilometers downstream. Evidence supporting. His planned photography location was near Sakijärvi Creek system. Known for unstable ice, March is transition season. Warm days weaken structural integrity. Hidden water is Lapland's silent killer, but something contradicted both theories fundamentally. The weather data. March 14th, 15th had been stable, clear, relatively warm at -22, not the disorienting whiteout conditions that trap experienced hikers. Mikko had visibility. He had moonlight. He had years of night navigation experience. This wasn't his first Arctic dawn, and the tent positioning. He'd camped 400 meters from any water feature. Not close enough for accidental ice breakthrough. Too far for casual walking in inadequate clothing. The Finnish border guard brought specialists. Ice rescue experts examined every frozen waterway within 2 kilometers, nothing. Geological surveyors mapped sinkholes and unstable ground, nothing. Forensic teams analyzed the tent fabric for signs of wildlife interference, tears, blood, nothing. Medical records reviewed, no heart conditions, no epilepsy, no medications that could cause sudden collapse. At 34, Mikko was in peak physical condition. Each piece of evidence revealed more questions while erasing certainty. The snow accumulated. 30 centimeters in week 1, another 40 in week 2. Every layer buried possibilities deeper. Time was working against understanding. Each evidence trail revealed more while hiding more. As if Lapland's endless white actively protected the secret beneath its surface. 8 years. A family waiting for answers. No closure. No certainty about what happened in those final moments. If this touches you, if you believe families deserve to know the truth, a like helps us continue revealing what Nordic landscapes conceal. Subscribe, because what thermal drone technology discovered will completely change this story. By month 3, 2 competing narratives dominated the investigation. Theory 1, the medical emergency hypothesis. Maybe Mikko experienced sudden cardiac event, stroke, seizure, aneurysm, something instant and catastrophic. Stepped outside during the episode, collapsed immediately. Spring thaw would expose remains somewhere in the vast search area. Investigators interviewed his doctor. Medical history completely clean. No heart conditions, no epilepsy, no medications. No family history of sudden cardiac events. At 34, he was physically prime. Regular exercise, non-smoker. But sudden medical events don't announce themselves. They happen. Even to the healthiest people. Statistics prove it. The medical examiner noted, sudden cardiac arrest in cold conditions isn't uncommon. The temperature stress alone can trigger events in people with undiagnosed conditions. Theory 2, the predator theory. Less likely but seriously considered. Wolves, bears? Finnish Lapland has both. Perhaps Mikko heard something threatening the tent structure. Went outside to investigate. Encountered danger. The wilderness claimed him quickly, violently.
Wildlife experts examined the area extensively. Wolf tracks existed. Mikko had photographed them himself. But wolves avoid humans aggressively. Documented attacks in Finland, 0 in the past century. Bears, still hibernating in mid-March. Temperature too cold for emergence. The predator theory lacked biological support entirely. What challenged both theories was the tent itself. No distress, no hurried exit, no torn fabric, no scattered equipment. Everything inside suggested calm, methodical behavior. Someone who intended to return momentarily. Not someone fleeing medical emergency. Not someone confronting predators with adrenaline surging. The satellite phone sat fully charged on his sleeping bag. The emergency beacon, activated with one button press, remained untouched in the side pocket. Signal range, 400 kilometers, monitored 24/7 by rescue services. Why would an experienced guide not signal for help if conscious enough to exit the tent? Two theories, both supported by partial evidence, both plausible enough to convince experienced investigators, and both completely wrong, as thermal drone technology would prove in 2024. March 2024. 8 years later, Project Arctic Eye, a Finnish research initiative mapping climate change impacts through aerial surveillance. Thermal imaging drones scanning Pallas Yllästunturi National Park, documenting permafrost degradation, measuring snowpack changes, recording how Arctic landscapes transform under warming temperatures. The technology, military-grade Flyer thermal cameras mounted on heavy-lift drones. Penetration depth, 3 meters through compacted snow and ice. Temperature differential detection, 0.1 degrees Celsius. Range, 15 kilometers per flight. Resolution high enough to distinguish rock formations from organic matter buried deep beneath the surface. March 22, 2024. Routine survey flight over Samaltunturi region. The thermal signature appeared at 1437. Anomalous heat retention pattern, buried approximately 2.4 meters beneath accumulated snow and ice. Shape, irregular but distinctly non-geological. The signature read different from surrounding terrain. Organic matter retains heat differently than rock, even when frozen solid for years. The drone operator almost dismissed it. Could be rock formation. Could be trapped air pocket creating thermal variance. Could be nothing. But something about the thermal signature felt wrong. Too defined, too symmetrical, too biological. Cross-reference with historical data. The coordinates, 390 meters from Mikko Virtanen's tent location. Finnish border guard receives notification at 15:00. They don't hope anymore. 8 years teaches you not to hope. But they respond. Protocol demands it. Always. The thermal imaging revealed what 8 years of searching hadn't. Not because previous teams were incompetent. Not because technology was unavailable in 2016, but because Lapland snow doesn't just cover. It transforms, creates forms, builds structures, hides what's beneath in plain sight. The tent had been positioned 400 meters from known water features. They'd searched that radius thoroughly, methodically. 7 separate expeditions over 8 years. Ground-penetrating radar, thermal cameras, trained dogs, nothing. But they'd searched for a body on the surface, for someone who'd collapsed from exposure, for remains that winter would preserve but spring would reveal on the tundra. They never searched beneath, never considered that Lapland's terrain could swallow someone vertically, the detail that was always there. The tent's location in that wind-protected hollow. Mikko had chosen it specifically, sheltered from wind, slight depression, perfect camping spot. The hollow wasn't just a depression, it was a snow-covered ravine, 4 meters deep in summer. By March, filled completely with compacted snow and ice, appearing perfectly level with surrounding terrain. Mikko hadn't walked away laterally into the wilderness. He'd fallen through, into the hidden void beneath where a snow bridge had formed over the ravine. The surface looked solid, held his tense weight distributed across multiple anchor points. Couldn't support a human's concentrated footfall at a weak point. He'd stepped out. The snow bridge collapsed. He fell 4 meters straight down, trapped instantly by collapsing snow from above. The opening sealed within minutes by wind-driven powder. No trace, no depression, just smooth snowfield. 8 years hidden 390 meters from where they'd searched. The thermal drone needed advanced FLIR technology and perfect atmospheric conditions to penetrate that depth and reveal what had been there since day one. March 23, 2024. Euro 6 Gauss. Full recovery operation mobilizes. Coordinates 68.047 Tüdingen, 24.0891 DGE. Depth 2.4 meters below surface. Distance from original search perimeter 390 meters. Finnish border guard. Rescue specialists trained in snow excavation. Heavy equipment rated for Arctic conditions. The team assembles everything Lapland demands. Heated shelters, industrial snowblowers, ground-penetrating radar for continuous safety verification, medical personnel, forensic experts. Weather window, 48 hours before next major storm system arrives. After that, winds reach 80 kilometers per hour. Excavation becomes impossible. The excavation begins at 10 Wang. They can't rush this. The snow is compressed like concrete. 8 winters of freeze-thaw cycles have created ice layers hard as granite. Each layer must be removed carefully. Preserve the site. Document everything. This is recovery and investigation simultaneously. Hour 1, surface layer. Modern snow from 2023-2024 winter. Soft, powdery, easy removal. Hour 3, they hit 2020 layers, marked by distinctive ash from distant wildfires. Darker, denser. Hour 6, 2018 layers. Ice now requires power tools. Chainsaws rated for ice cutting. Hour 9, 2016 layer. March 2016. The snow from when Mikko disappeared compressed, heavy, historic. The team works in rotating shifts. Lights illuminate the excavation through the perpetual Arctic night. Temperature -31 Celsius, wind chill -45. They build windbreaks, portable heating units. This is what Finland does. Methodical, organized, professional, even in impossible conditions. Ground radar confirms the void beneath. The hidden ravine that 8 years of snow accumulation had concealed perfectly. The cavity is approximately 4 meters deep, 2 meters wide. Classic Lapland ravine formation, carved by summer meltwater, filled by winter snow. March 24th, 0430, they reach the cavity. The ravine opens beneath their excavation, 4 meters deep. The walls are pure glacial ice formed by years of meltwater freezing. At the bottom, exactly where thermal imaging indicated, the answer to 8 years of questions waited in the eternal cold. 7:15. Recovery team descends into the ravine. The cavity is narrow, 2 meters wide at the bottom, 3 meters at the top. The walls glisten with ancient ice, smooth and vertical. No handholds, no way to climb out. At the base, preserved perfectly by Arctic cold and protected from scavengers, they find him, Mikko Virtanen. Exactly as he'd been 8 years ago. Light clothing, no boots, no jacket, positioned as someone would be after a fall, one leg at an awkward angle. The cold had preserved everything, 8 years compressed into a moment frozen in time. His final seconds reconstructed by forensic analysis. Stepped outside the tent around 0730, March 15th. Maybe to photograph the sunrise, his camera showed interest in early light. Maybe answer nature's call. The snow bridge looked solid. It had supported his tense weight for 24 hours, but concentrated weight on one point at a structural weak spot. It gave way instantly. 4-meter fall. Landed hard. The narrow walls prevented him from bracing. Impact injuries confirmed later. Fractured leg, possibly cracked ribs. Survived the initial fall. This is certain from positioning. The ravine was narrow enough that calling for help would be useless. Sound trapped between ice walls. Absorbed by snow above. Nobody close enough to hear regardless. Couldn't climb out. Walls too steep, too slick with ice. Injured leg made it impossible. Temperature already -25. Without proper clothing, hypothermia would take 30 minutes. Maybe less with injuries and shock accelerating the process. The satellite phone was in the tent above. The emergency beacon in the tent. His boots in the tent. Everything that could save him was impossibly distant, separated by 4 meters of vertical ice wall and a collapsing snow bridge that had already sealed above him. The recovery team works with absolute respect. This isn't a rescue anymore. It's a recovery. It's bringing Mikko home to family who've waited 8 years for this moment. How thermal drone technology revealed his location was sophisticated science. The body, even frozen solid, retained different thermal properties than surrounding glacial ice. Human tissue, even frozen, has organic matter that retains and releases heat differently than pure water ice. During brief midday warming periods in March 2024, when surface temperatures rose slightly, this created microscopic temperature differential, detectable only to military-grade FLIR sensors, only from aerial perspective eliminating ground interference, only with the advanced thermal imaging systems that didn't exist at this capability level in 2016. The original search teams had passed within 200 meters. 7 separate times, with ground-penetrating radar, with thermal cameras, but older generation, surface-level detection only, with trained dogs, all standard equipment for 2016. They never detected him because the snow bridge had already sealed. The surface reformed within minutes of collapse. By the time first searchers arrived 18 hours later, the ravine was invisible. Just smooth snowfield, no depression, no crack, no indication that beneath lay a 4-meter drop and a hidden void containing the answer they desperately sought. Lapland's snow creates these formations constantly. Snow bridges over ravines, rivers, voids. They look solid. They appear safe. They support distributed weight. They kill silently when concentrated force finds the weak point. Thermal drone technology revealed where Mikko was. But the final moments, the exact thoughts, whether he called out knowing nobody would hear, whether consciousness faded quickly or slowly, that Lapland's eternal ice would guard forever. March 26, 2024, Mikko Virtanen returns to Rovaniemi. His sister receives the call she'd both feared and needed for 8 years. Not the answer anyone wanted, but an answer, finally. Certainty after endless speculation. Closure after perpetual wondering. The investigation closes officially. Cause of death, hypothermia following accidental fall into concealed ravine formation. No foul play, no mystery beyond nature's brutal architecture. Just terrain and cold, and impossible circumstances converging in seconds. After Mikko's case, Finnish border guard implemented new protocols. Aerial thermal surveillance now standard deployment within 48 hours for all extended searches in Lapland. Drone teams equipped with military-grade FLIR become mandatory. Ground-penetrating radar complemented with thermal imaging at multiple depths. The technology that could have found him in 2016, if it had existed at this capability, is now required equipment. Training programs updated nationwide. Wilderness guides now carry personal thermal beacons, small devices that transmit heat signatures detectable by drones even through 3 meters of compacted snow. Required in all permits for solo winter hiking above Arctic Circle. Geological surveys commissioned. Mapping known ravine formations throughout Pallas Yllästunturi. Warning systems installed. Areas marked where snow bridges historically form. But the fundamental lesson remains unchanged. Finnish Lapland forgives nothing. Snow bridges form wherever water once flowed. They look safe, solid, trustworthy. They support light weight distributed across surface until concentrated force finds the structural weakness. The landscape appears benign, endless white, peaceful, serene, open. Beneath, voids, ravines, hidden drops waiting patiently. 8 years Mikko waited 390 meters from his tent. 8 winters adding snow layers. 8 summers partially melting and refreezing. His family wondering every day. Searchers returning annually. Everyone asking the same question, where? The answer was always there, just buried beneath what Lapland does best. Concealed truth under layers of beautiful, deadly white. The Virtanen case teaches us that expertise isn't immunity. Mikko knew Lapland intimately. He'd survived hundreds of winter nights. He understood the dangers professionally. He followed every protocol. And still, one invisible snow bridge ended everything in seconds. Experience couldn't save him from what he couldn't see. Thermal drone technology that penetrated 2.4 meters of compacted snow and ice to detect 0.1 degree temperature variance between frozen human tissue and surrounding glacial ice versus the vast and different white of Finnish Lapland. Technology won this time, but only after 8 years, only with systems that didn't exist when Mikko fell. The cruelty. Searchers passed so close, so many times, while he was right there beneath their feet, separated by meters of concealing snow. This case reminds us that even in the most organized societies in the world, the vastness of Nordic nature continues being a human mystery, capable of making people simply disappear, leaving only echoes in the eternal landscapes of Scandinavia. If this story impressed you, leave a like. Subscribe to Nordic Missing Stories channel to not miss our next mysteries from Nordic lands. Share with that friend fascinated by true crime and mysteries in extreme conditions. This revelation will impress them. In the comments, tell us, should personal thermal beacons be mandatory for all solo winter hiking in Arctic regions? Activate the bell to be notified about upcoming cases. Thank you for watching. And remember, in the vast Nordic landscapes, there are always more mysteries waiting in the eternal mists of the north. Until the next mystery from Scandinavian lands.